All right? I'd like to welcome everybody to Lough Gur, and it's such an important place. And this was a sacred place maybe 40,000 years ago to our Celtic people. Your intellect and reason. And we'll all know about the harp. And you put your two hands up in the air. And here we also have, which we'll be doing it when we're going out, the Star of David. And it was a sacred site. And how you do it, they're the harp signs. That's the sonship that grows all our food and our biomass. And it's and this is the moonship, which comes this way and that way. That's why you see these two harps down there, and you see them here. There, look, and that's where this is where it comes from. You put that over that, the sun and the moon. There's the moon. There's your wheel. Look, the circle. Look, I've made the circle, and that's how the wheel, the spokes, become the strings, and the eye is what the hub of the wheel, and that's the circle. And these are the ohm sticks which I've put down, and I've made the triangle with the ohm sticks. That is facing south, that's east, and that's north. And we'll turn that then, because north doesn't have that alignment. So what I do is then I take the string, which is the chain for measuring, and I measure. First of all, we've measured our stone circle outside, but I make my circle round here. I walk around and I make the circle, and then we do the alignment, and that's your chain. Had I a stick there? I have. And Sean, the alignment, the chain is how many?
66 feet.
66 feet.
Which is 1/10 of a furlong.
We'll put down now. Right. There's now how a man would be there starting off the chain, right? And when you'd come to the end of the chain, he would put that down. And then he would walk to that, and you would move on again. And if you look at the ordnance survey of this country or any other country now, it was through the harp. And that's how it is measured. It's all about measurement. It's all about your intellect and reason and how you can understand the sovereignty of God. Sovereignty comes from God. Everything else is man-made. Monarchy, proclamations, constitutions. But we're talking about sovereignty. And that's why it was a sacred site. And they would have had to come by boat. And that would be down to the Meg. And I remember when that was all a wet plain. And the same down here. But the councils, of course, have done that since. But that's the ohm stick, and they're the ohm sticks that we put down. And ohm is the first structured language of mankind. And you put down that. We'll show you. I hope there's a little bit of sunshine there. If there isn't, we have a map. We can do it on the Ranacrandove stone. And that's how you got. That's your sundial, your compass, and your wheel. And if you look at that, these are very important signs. There's the two 5-stringed harps that I just showed you, the sunship and the moonship. The top of that is how you build your ship. That's the blueprint for the currach. And the strings become the lats. And that's the keel of the ship for the Atlantic Ocean. All the knowledge, you turn that around that circle, you have the wheel. And this is where it all comes from. You know, that knowledge and information. And that's what all we're passing on. And as Jerry rightly said, all that information, all mathematics. And we'll be going to ask Keaton later on. Christopher Columbus, he could not have gone to America without this information. And this is what all those Celtic monasteries and friaries were teaching. And Sir Nicholas Malby, he burnt down Askeaton because he didn't want people to have that. Britain wanted all that knowledge for themselves. And they hung those friars down there that were teaching all this. And just to show you, that's east, west. And then for the turning of the harp, which I do every year, you turn it, look, and that's how you do it. It's very simple how they did this and how they could understand. It's all about understanding planet Earth, and we believe in God. We don't understand God, but we believe in God. He gave us all this knowledge, and information. And this is what we have. Now that one is facing north, and there you have your compass. You have the wheel, the compass, how to build your ship. And look, there's the crescent moon. Take that. The crescent moon. Sun box, sound box. You have the string, that's the golden thread. I've been using it there for measuring. How man learned to write. The abacus, how he learned to count. And that's the eye. And that's very important. And I think, Fiona, you told me you were in Rome, in Termini, and you see the light coming in, and it shines across. And that's Easter Sunday when that does that for the whole world. That's how the Roman Catholic Church would do that. But Copernicus and Galileo and Termini had all that information and knowledge, but it comes from the Celtic people. But everything you want to know is on that. And you come in here, in daylight, you come in where the sun gets up in the east, and the winter and summer solstice, they were the calendars, 6 months. And you walk around it. But when you come in at night time, you go the other way. You follow the moon ship round, and and Arton, Cromwell's son-in-law, Arton, they camped here, and they defaced all those stones. All that knowledge was on those stones. There's still a few with bits and pieces on it, but we still know what they were teaching here, and that's what they were teaching, and that's what they're coming for. But it's so important that we know if you haven't sovereignty, you can be enslaved. And that goes back to 1155 when we were enslaved, when Pope Adrian IV, the only English Pope, gave Hibernia, which is Éire, and the Irish people to Henry II to expand his empire. They didn't have the food to expand his empire. And what they did was, we had between 6 and 8 million people, we believe, and the Scoties, which are the Irish in Scotland, they starved them to death and used that food to feed the Crown Forces and the Royal Navy. And that's the conflict still today. And it's time it was sorted out. The Queen is gone now, and you know, Britain doesn't have sovereignty, it's royalty they have, and that's the difference. Sovereignty is all to do with God, and it's all to do with growth. And I tell you that on the summer solstice, the arc, there's the arc, look, the sun is at its highest, and you see all the grass and everything growing up to that. And then on the winter solstice, it goes right down, it's at its lowest. So everything goes back to nature again. It's all to do with his planet Earth, which is God's planet Earth, and our civilization. We have to organize our own civilization. We have all the mathematics, and we have disbanded all that. And you see all these terrible things going around the world today. I think somebody said there was either 37 or 47 wars going on. That's not acceptable. And you know, people are sovereign. You're born sovereign, and you have an entitlement to all that knowledge and information. And people have to be held accountable. That's all we can ask. That's all we're asked in Britain, to be accountable for what happened. If you don't know the past or where you came from, and that the plantation of Ulster and the plantation of Munster, I said we had between 6 and 8 million people, and it is shocking to think that they were all down to 550,000 people, and Britain brought in all those people. But they're all part of us today in our nation, and we respect them and we love them all. But we would like to teach them all that knowledge and information that we have. And I thank you very much for listening to me. And Jerry is going to take over now.